We're back to talking about Roger Fortson. I did a video earlier today, I just published it, about his shooting. I tried to analyze it from both sides, took a look at the actual laws in effect, and come to the conclusion that while this was probably a justified shooting, I wasn't too happy with it. I don't think it was personally justified, but I don't think that the cop should go to prison for it. And if you're wondering how I could hold such a crazy opinion, well, go watch my video. I also posted a couple of other videos in the description where you could listen to a couple of reasonable takes from both sides of the political spectrum. And then there's Rashad Richey, whose take here is absolutely berserk. But what can you expect from this man? Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Body camera released of airmen, okay? Senior airmen shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy in Florida. He's on Zoom.
On Zoom. Make sure you get that.
With his girlfriend when it happens. He's posing no threat. He has not called the police, but he gets shot and killed. Here's the video.
Sheriff's office, open the door. Step out. Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
It's over there.
Drop the gun!
I don't have it.
312, shots fired. Suspect down. Do not move!
Put up the picture full mask. This young man was 23 years of age. Senior Airman Roger Fortson from DeKalb County, Georgia.
Yeah? Yeah?
He graduated from the same high school I went to.
So?
He was shot and killed in Florida Friday during an incident involving an Okaloosa County Sheriff's deputy. The deputy, according to the official report, was responding to a call of a disturbance in progress when, quote, he reacted in self-defense. You see, he was in no danger, but the official report said he reacted in self-defense.
Right, because whether or not the cop was actually in danger is irrelevant. What matters is, did he have a reasonable perception that he was in danger? Come on, Rashad, you're supposed to be like a law expert. You don't know that? No, he doesn't.
After he encountered, quote, a man armed with a gun. That's completely legal in the United States of America.
Yeah, Rashad, but it doesn't matter, as I explained in my other video, because Nimrods like you were going around making this claim that somehow the fact that he was carrying a gun legally made a difference. It doesn't make a difference. He could have been carrying his gun illegally. He could have had a stolen weapon. It would not have made any difference whatsoever in the cop's claim of self-defense. Now, if the cop knew he was in illegal possession of a gun, maybe. But even then, probably not.
You have the right to bear arms. I thought you all liked that in Florida.
Ooh, look how dismissive he is of the right to bear arms. I thought you guys liked that in Florida. Well, wait, he'll change his tune here in a little bit.
Per the agency, Fortson, based at Fort Walton Beach's Halbert Field, was shot at his off-base residence and was taken to a hospital where he died. The deputy involved has been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. I want you to look at that picture. Where's the gun? It's on his side.
Where's the gun? It's on his side.
Because he's trained. Okay?
Right. And the cop had his gun holstered up until the time he pulled it out and used it. that's not the issue.
He posed no threat. He did not aim his gun. He was simply engaged in a constitutional right, his right to bear arms.
Okay, look, I don't disagree with Rashad in that the fact that Fortson is carrying a gun at his side is a big deal here. That is an important consideration. I won't disagree with him here. However, the fact that he had a constitutional right to bear arms is irrelevant, has no bearing on anything.
The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office released the body cam video Thursday with officials stating the deputy was at the right door. That is still a question. But he came out, the sheriff said the deputy was at the right door and did not cover the peephole of the unit. I will explain why that part is important in a moment. The sheriff continued to say he told Fortson's family, if the shooting is found to be unjustified, the picture's right there, the video's right there. Obviously, it's unjustified.
Yeah, there's no need for an investigation. There's no need to talk to the cop, ask him what his perception was. No need to look at the laws in question here. No, we just convict him and send him to prison. That's how he wants it. Now, reverse the races, and all of a sudden, his tune changes.
But the sheriff says, if it is found to be unjustified, their son's name will be fully vindicated and justice will be served. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump,
Hell.
who has taken on the case and is representing the family, believes law enforcement burst into the wrong unit.
By the way, the fact that Ben Crump has taken over the case means that the amount of misinformation is going to spiral out of control. We'll probably never learn what really truly happened. I'm only slightly joking. Look what happened to the case of Jaheim McNeil in Mississippi, where this dude fed so much bullshit to the news that an entire family had to go into hiding. And this family almost certainly had nothing to do with Jaheim McNeil's disappearance. And now I don't think we'll ever understand what truly happened there. I have a video on that. I'll put a link in the description below if you're curious.
While responding to the call, Crump said Senior Airman Fortson was on FaceTime. He was calling someone on FaceTime at the moment with a woman at the time of the encounter. She heard the whole thing. He told her to hold on. According to Crump, the woman, who Crump did not identify, said Fortson was alone in his apartment when he heard a knock at the door. He asked who was there, but did not get a response.
He did not get a response. Oh, come on, Rashad. You can't emphasize every word in a sentence.
Minutes later, Fortson heard a louder knock, but did not see anyone when he looked through the peephole, Crump said, citing the woman's account. The woman said Fortson was concerned and went to retrieve his gun, which Crump said was legally owned. Now, let's paint the scene here and compare narratives, all right?
Oh, hell, here we go. He's going to paint the scene and compare the narratives. We'll never figure out what happened.
What does the sheriff do? The sheriff makes statements that he cannot or has not confirmed in fact. Do you believe that a trained senior airman is aware of how to look out of his own damn peephole?
Well, that doesn't mean he necessarily did. And of course, Rashad here is making a really bad assumption. And that is that if you look through a peephole, you will necessarily see the person on the other side. The dimwit took a long time to understand that you can stand to the side of the peephole and not be seen. It got by him completely.
He was doing nothing illegal. He looked to see who was knocking on his door like SWAT or a robber, and he could not see outside of his peephole. Immediately, he becomes suspicious. He doesn't just start shooting through the door because he doesn't want to kill somebody that may not be worthy of death.
Well, why would he shoot through the door? I mean, where the hell did this come from? Rashad, you're working under the assumption that Fortson looked through the peephole and claimed that he couldn't see anything on the other side. What he meant probably was he didn't see anybody there, because the cop was actually down the hallway or standing to the side. This is the guy who claims to have a Juris Doctorate.
So he goes back to retrieve his gun, puts it on his side. He's in the armed services.
I don't care if he worked for the sanitation department. His right to self-defense does not change.
And in the state of Florida. Damn right he went to go get his gun.
Oh, wait a minute here. I thought that you were demeaning the whole idea of gun ownership in Florida just a few minutes ago. Remember when you said that's what you like to do in Florida? But all of a sudden, now it's damn right that's what you do in Florida. That's why I say this guy doesn't have a genuine bone in his body. Every opinion he has shifts completely on race. Switch the races and his opinion changes dramatically. Or he drops the subject entirely.
He did not point it. He did not threaten. And he did not resist any command whatsoever.
Okay, look, if you want to stick to this idea that he had his gun by his side and he never lifted it up towards the police officer, run with that. That's actually a good argument, Rashad. Nothing else that you spew is worth spit.
There's more. As Fortson walked back through his living room, deputies decided to go ahead and just burst through the door.
That's right. That's what the deputies did. They just burst through the door. Boy, aren't you glad you go to Rashad Richey's indisputable channel to learn the facts, the reals?
And they saw that Fortson was armed. And they decided to just go ahead and shoot 6 times.
Was he shot 6 times? Interesting. I didn't know that. I'll have to check that later.
According to Crump's statement, excuse me.
Oh, okay. It's Crump's statement. So the whole idea that they burst through the door, you can throw that out because Crump said it. And 6 times, probably not true. Because why? Crump said it.
The woman said Fortson was on the ground saying, quote, "I can't breathe," after he was shot, Crump said. The woman said Fortson wasn't causing a disturbance during their FaceTime call and believed that deputies must have had the wrong apartment.
We get it.
Crump's statement said. I want you to understand the narrative of the sheriff here. The sheriff is saying they did not have the wrong apartment. Now, let's provide context to that statement.
Oh, God. He's going to put context in the statement. In other words, he's going to start lying.
He may be saying that they went to the right apartment based on the 911 call, which means the person who called said the wrong apartment. Do you understand the game they may be playing here?
Well, how is that a game? That may have actually what happened, Rashad. The cop may have been told the wrong apartment number by a citizen.
Which room is it?
1401.
1401, okay.
And therefore went knocking on the door by mistake. Not his mistake. Or do you really think that he went to 1401 on purpose because Fortson was there? They don't even know each other. There's no reason that a sheriff's deputy would pick on him. Do you really think this was deliberate? Oh my God. I mean...
Okay? The circumstances surrounding Roger's death raise serious questions that demand immediate answers from authorities.
Well, sometimes immediate is not possible. Sometimes you do have to ask people questions. You have to look over video. You have to do ballistics. You can't always get immediate answers. And in fact, it's probably not a good idea to try to get immediate answers.
Especially considering the alarming witness statement that the police entered the wrong apartment, Crump said. We are calling for transparency in the investigation into Roger's death and the immediate release of the body cam video to the family. We're talking about the full video.
He always demands immediate release. He knows fully well that the police can't do that. They have to redact license plates. They have to redact personal information. There is a process involved. Crump knows it, but he knows also that if he demands immediate release and they don't provide it, he can go on and complain that they're trying to cover it up. And by the way, we have on video the woman saying apartment 1401. There is no doubt that the police officer went to the right apartment given the information that was handed to him. There's no doubt about that.
His family and the public deserve to know what occurred in the moments leading up to this tragedy. Crump is a nationally known attorney. He's based in Tallahassee, Florida. He has been involved in multiple high-profile law enforcement shootings involving Black people, including those of Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Tyree Nichols, George.
Oh, he was doing the cry. I'm sorry. He was trying to portray himself choking up. What a phony. This is the same guy who criticized Kyle Rittenhouse for having a panic attack as Kyle was reliving the account of him shooting a man to death, right? But here he is choking up by just saying Breonna Taylor's name, and he's trying to make it sound like he's really rattled over it. Oh, come on, Rashad. You're such a jackass.
Floyd. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office did not immediately respond to an email or voicemail from the Associated Press seeking comment about Crump's claim, but Sheriff Eric Aden posted a statement on Facebook Wednesday afternoon expressing sadness about the shooting. Quote, "At this time, we humbly ask for our community's patience as we work to understand the facts that resulted in this tragic event." The Sheriff's Office also declined to immediately identify the responding deputies or their races. Officials said earlier this week that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and
notice that they have to identify the responding deputies and their races. Oh, jeez. This is what's happened to this country.
the local state attorney's office will investigate the shooting. FDLE spokeswoman Plessinger.
You can say her first name. It's Gretel.
Told the Associated Press on Wednesday that it is highly unlikely the agency will have any further comment until the investigation is complete. Fortson was assigned to the 4th Special Operations Squadron as a special missions aviator, where one of his roles as a member of the squadron, Ghost Rider aircrew, was to load the gunships 30 millimeter, 105 millimeter cannons during missions.
Okay, so he loaded guns.
Forson's death draws striking similarities to other Black people killed in recent years by police in their own homes, in circumstances that involve officers responding to the wrong address or responding to service calls with wanton uses of deadly force. In 2018, a white former Dallas police officer fatally shot, remember, Botham Jean, an unarmed Black man, after mistaking his apartment for her own. Amber Geiger, the former cop, was found guilty of murder. She was only sentenced to 10 years after the judge gave her a really nice hug before she went to prison.
There's no doubt that she thought she was in the wrong apartment. It was dark inside. She didn't know who was in there. She saw a shadow and she opened fire on it. It was dumb on her part, but race was not involved.
2019, the white former Fort Worth, Texas officer fatally shot Ms. Jefferson through a rear
He doesn't like first names, does he?
window of the home after responding to a non-emergency call and report. The report called that Jefferson's front door was open. Aaron Dean, the former cop, was found guilty of manslaughter. 2022 was only sentenced to 12 years for taking that innocent life.
Yeah, Dick Tinch in South Carolina had a very similar thing. Cop showed up to do a welfare call. He saw Dick inside the house, opened fire on him, almost killed him. Dick was inside his own home. He was a licensed CCW holder, which to you is a big deal, and the cop was never charged.
Oh my God, call the cops, please. I am the cops. I can't believe he did this to me, man.
Okay, we're not going to talk about this right now. We're going to focus on keeping you alive, okay?
Dick did manage to survive the wounds, though. So there is that.
Crump has represented families in both cases as part of his ongoing effort to force accountability for the killings of Black people at the hands of the police. Quote, what I'm trying to do, as much as I can,
Is make a lot of money.
even sometimes single-handedly, is increase the value of Black life.
And make a lot of money.
Crump told the Associated Press in 2022 following the conviction of former Minneapolis officer in the murder of George Floyd. Fort Walton Beach is between Panama City Beach and Pensacola in the Florida Panhandle.
Notice how he's just made this thing all about race. There's no evidence whatsoever that Fortson was shot because he was Black. I seriously doubt the cop was caring about that. He saw the gun. That's what he was focused on, and that's why he opened fire. I don't think he should have. However, you can disagree with that, and there are good arguments against that. But it's not about race. But that's all he talks about here.
So they go in to an apartment. The young man works for the federal government. He serves his country.
Irrelevant. His character is irrelevant here. And you, above all people, should know that, because every time one of your criminals gets shot, you go out full force and say, it doesn't matter. They're always trying to bring up their past. Just because he has a criminal conviction. As if that gives the cop any right to shoot. But then all of a sudden, make it an airman, and it's all about his character. That's why I say, the man has no genuine anchor. He has no solid foundation, no principles at all.
There should be significant outrage from those who are, well, pro-military, pro-veterans, right? Where's the advocacy groups?
Are you really truly saying that if Fortson was not in the military, that it would be different? That it'd be okay? There was nothing about Fortson being in the military that had any impact on any of this. He happened to be a serviceman. That's as far as it goes, Rashad.
You see, the reason why you don't see that same kind of response right now is because a 23-year-old Black male who serves in the military does not fit their narrative when he gets shot by the police, and he should be alive.
Well, let's talk about Christopher Roop. Oh, you haven't talked about him. Oh, I would bet you 10 to 1, Rashad, that you don't even know who Christopher Roop is. He answered the door very much like Fortson. The cop knocked on the door. He opens the door, and the cop thinks she sees a gun and shoots him dead. He was only carrying a Wii game controller, Rashad. Fortson was at least carrying a gun, a real one. Not that it really matters much. So, stuff it. You're a phony. Where are the protests for Christopher Roop? Did you do any shows on him? No. Why? Christopher was the wrong color, and you don't care about him. I actually did a show on Christopher. At least somebody remembers him. You never even learned about him because you don't care. You're a race baiter.
Because it doesn't fit their narrative, they will say very little to nothing about this tragic end of an innocent life. All right. So
keep in mind, he's complaining about people reporting on crimes or not reporting because it doesn't fit their narrative. This dude, yeah, Rashad Richey is complaining about that.
return to thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, hell. This is Nina Turner. It's going to get dumber. Now, keep in mind, this was the lady, was one of the very first to report that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist who was just shooting protesters. She, above all, started the whole Kyle Rittenhouse is a terrorist who only showed up to Kenosha to shoot people.
Yeah, Doc, this is I sigh deeply moment. I curse deeply moment. I mean, watching that video is very troubling. And you really took the words right out of my mouth. Part of my notes, I'm saying, where's the NRA?
Yep,
Where
right.
is the Second Amendment absolutists? Where are they?
Hey, look, Nina, you need to go and learn some law along with your buddy there. This is not a Second Amendment issue. Whether or not Fortson had a right to carry that gun legally is of no consequence whatsoever. None. The cop either perceived a real threat or he didn't. So there's a reason why the NRA is not involved here. It's not a Second Amendment issue. And I could tell you this till the cows come home, and you will never understand it. Because deep down, Nina, you're really kind of stupid, along with your buddy there.
And this is in the state of Florida, where Zimmerman got more respect for gunning down Trayvon Martin than they gave this airman.
Well, see, Trayvon Martin, from what we understand, probably, and that's all I can say is, probably attacked Zimmerman, and Zimmerman shot him in self-defense. Now, there could be a case where Zimmerman was in the wrong. Zimmerman may have murdered Trayvon Martin. We'll never know for sure, but there's no evidence pointing to that. How would you like to have somebody like this as your defense attorney? If you're white.
Black, being an airman while black, being in your home while black, holding a gun in your own home while black, all of that.
How about holding a Wii game controller while white? Holding a Wii game controller in your own home while white? I notice you don't mention that.
Is pretty much against the law, de facto and de jure, in the United States of America.
Believe it or not, somebody actually gave her a master's degree.
And I really love what attorney Benjamin Crump said when he said he's trying to bring value to Black lives. That is a lofty goal, because the devaluing of Black lives has been going on in this country even before its inception. And we are reminded over and over again, incident after incident, that this is true. That not only don't Black lives matter, Black pain doesn't matter either. That Sheriff Doc made a grave mistake. He should have empathized first.
Okay, wait a minute. Black lives don't matter? When Christopher Roop was shot down by a police officer, he was only 18 years old. You didn't do anything. You didn't protest. You didn't put out any videos. You didn't tweet anything on it. I checked. You didn't give a damn about him. And yet here you are saying Black lives don't matter on a show with 1 million subscribers crying about the loss of a Black airman. There's a hell of a lot more than Christopher Roop got. I checked. I did a little YouTube search on Christopher Roop, and one of my videos shows up second in the search hits. When one of my videos shows up second, you know it's not reported very much. It only has like 212 views. Nobody cared about Christopher. There were no protests, there were no marches, there were no eulogies, there was no nothing. Because deep down, you're the racist ones.
Yep. You don't tell the parents after the investigation if your son is proven, to be innocent, so to speak. And I'm paraphrasing what he said. Right. We're gonna clear his name. You can't clear his damn name. He's dead.
That's not what they said. And quit paraphrasing, because you're terrible at it.
That's right.
And the way that officer comported himself, Doc, they're programmed. He didn't even give a thought. He saw a gun and he just started shooting. And then he spouted off what they say all the time. Weapon, I felt my life was in danger. Don't move. All of that. I want people, our listeners, our viewers to know that's an automatic response by law enforcement. He wasn't even thinking. He was totally on autopilot.
Yeah, that sounds like the female cop that shot Christopher Roop. She just opened fire on the dude and killed the kid. Do you care? No.
Black man with a gun in his own home, hands not on the gun, but I am going to shoot first and ask questions later. And then when I am asked, why did you shoot this man? I feared for my life.
Hands were not on the gun? Gee, could have fooled me. So here's Nina Turner thinking about Tamir Rice, Tyree King, Ma'Khia Bryant, Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, and so many others who didn't have the opportunity to defend themselves. You have got to be kidding me. I'll give you Tamir Rice. Very tragic. I don't think I know who Tyree King is. Ma'Khia Bryant. That's right. She's going to water for Ma'Khia Bryant. The girl here with the knife, who is just about to knife the other girl, a black girl, when a cop thankfully shows up in the nick of time and shoots her. If the cop didn't show up, that girl in pink would be dead. And she's upset that the cop shot Makia. Oh, do you want to guess the color of the cop? And of course, Mike Brown, who clearly attacked Darren Lewis, the officer. The whole hands up, don't shoot thing was a myth propagated by Mike Brown's friend and then repropagated by all the people who heard that narrative and wanted to get the cop convicted. They lied. Read the grand jury report or watch my videos on the Mike Brown deal. I have about 7 of them where I read the grand jury report and I demonstrate to you that the people who claimed that Mike Brown was shot unjustifiably lied. And it's people like Nina Turner who make it impossible for people like Darren Lewis to ever become a cop, even though by all accounts, he was a pretty good cop. Okay, so guess what? Rashad Richey found out that, gee, maybe the cop was actually standing to the side of the peephole, and that's the reason why Fortson couldn't see him. Major revelation. And he cut another video, and it's dumber than this one, but I'm a little tired. That's going to have to wait for another day. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.